Check audio check.
Check, baby. 1, 2, 3.
And we are live.
Live and living color.
Smithsonians, welcome back. Yeah. This ain't just content. It's purpose. Purpose over popularity. We building legacy, not just views. Every story got meaning. Every voice got truth. Camera rolling, vision clear. We turn purpose into impact here. Smith says, let's go. Let's go.
All right, my brother. How are you?
Pretty good, and you?
How was Chicago, man? How was Chicago? Did you do a little partying while you were down there?
No partying, just networking.
Networking. See, when I was your age, if I went to Chicago, it was a party. It had to be a party, you know.
Yes.
I mean, Chicago was always the place to go to. I went there on a number of occasions because all the companies that I've worked with, they usually had corporate offices down there, and I went down there to do training.
Okay.
So I go down, stay over, do training, then we go out and everyone would hang out for a while. But I enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed Chicago. Never been there for a long time, though. Usually probably 2 or 3 days at the most.
Okay.
So you had a good time?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
How long were you there?
I left Friday afternoon, took a nap right after work, and hit the road. Got there 11:30ish.
Yeah, because it's what, a 3 hour?
6.
I mean, 6 hours, yes. Because it's 3 hours in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Yeah, my cousin lives in Indianapolis, and then another 3 hours on to Chicago.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Just.
Well, I'm glad you made it back. You know, I hadn't heard from you. I said, let me give him a call and see what's happening, see what's going on.
Yeah, I had to go back. You said self-reflection, how to understand where I came from. You know, I thought about it while I was thinking, like, my mom is where I get my reservation from. Because while I was there, she stayed in the room, like, okay.
Okay.
I see where I got that from, like, yeah, being isolation, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, you were how do you mean you were in isolation?
I don't go out the way to.
Oh, you don't go out a lot. Okay.
Yeah. So even like amongst family, like, I'm just reserved. So,
Okay.
Okay.
You're quiet. You're more the analytical type.
Yes.
That's good. That's good.
Yes. Those SWOT analysis on everybody.
You're checking everyone out.
Yes.
Who's doing this and who's doing what have you. Well, that puts you in a good position because you're being really observant and taking in what's happening, and allows you to be able to formulate the direction that you want to go in, and probably ask some really good questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, man, I frequently wake up in the morning and my mind is always on what do we need to do, first of all, as a society, for people to be able to interact more effectively. I really get stuck on things like hatred and things like prejudice and things like racism, wondering what is it about an individual that causes him or her to dislike, hate someone that they don't even know. I mean, it just blows my mind. How could you not like me or not like a person that you don't even know? What happens inside of your head that said it's okay for you to not like someone that you don't even know? So somewhere in my mind, there's something wrong inside the person's head that causes them to even begin to say, I can legitimately dislike someone or a population of people that I don't even know. Because my thing has always been all my life, when I saw somebody or see someone that I don't know, if anything, I'm interested. What about that person? Why do they do this? Why do they wear their hair that way? Why do they talk that way? Why do they dress that particular way? Or as a kid, I used to watch a lot of things on the woods and jungles and all those things that are going on. And I got a lot of lessons out of just looking at things like that, because there's a balance in the jungle. There are certain things that you're supposed to do. if I'm a tree dweller, I better stay up in the trees. 'Cause guess what? I know what I'm doing in the trees, but when I come down on the ground, man, there's a whole different story that's going on, or and vice versa. If I'm on the ground, I'm probably not as good, as nimble up in the trees. So I just look at how there's this equity and there's the balance in the jungle. And it's been that way for eons and eons. And there's certain kinds of foods and certain kind of things you eat that will nourish you, certain kind of things that you can consume that will heal you. And then there are other things that you can consume that will take you out of here. And it was important for you to know what that is. So you take that, I take that and say, okay, so what about our society? What is it about our society? And the more I look at our history and study history, of Africans and study history of Europeans and study history of Asians and Chinese and Japanese and things like that, Europeans. It just makes me wonder why one population could just automatically dislike, hate another population. How can I come in and take over a population of people and subjugate them and make them less than? And I take over their land and I take over their property, but I don't give them the equal access that they had prior to me getting there, but I want to subjugate them.
So
I want to put them at the bottom, you know?
yeah, before you go that deep, I want to say hate and competition. Like, how do you differentiate the two? I know. I just want to mess with you. Like,
Okay, that's good.
I like throwing things at you.
That's good.
So competition and hate. Like, how do you differentiate?
Competition, competition says that I am competing. Let's say it could be if it's non-structured. We're trying to get the food. I need to nourish my body. And you need to nourish your body. And there's only 3 plants going around now. Have we got to a point where we know we can share those plants? Or did I find that if I tried to share the plant with you and you wanted to take all of it, so I had to go in and I had to take you out, not because I don't like you, but you weren't going to share the leaves, you weren't going to share the plants or the roots or what have you. So I think that's competition, in my opinion. Hatred would be where I just, for no reason, unless something happened to me over a period of time, I noticed you always wanted to take everything. You always wanted to take advantage. Then I see you probably as the enemy. And then I know that I need to get there before you do. Or if you're already there, I need to be able to prepare myself to defend myself. Or else, if I didn't do that, I would then starve to death. I would die, or my family would die. So then, doing that over a period of time, I guess you could build up some, as a result of competition, you could probably build up some hatred. But there's got to be a reason. But for some people to see someone that is on a place in a setting, and I just look at them and they'll just say, I hate them and I'm better than they are, and it just blows my mind why that happens and how that happens. And I guess it's probably based upon, and maybe at an early age, I was learned to be, from the Catholic Church, I was learned to be respectful.
Okay.
Maybe from sports, I was learned to share the team. You don't hate the team, because if you hate the team, you really won't realize what their strengths are. And you would automatically devalue them when they have some real value. So maybe those kinds of things were taught to me at an earlier age, which means I don't go out and automatically just start hating.
I like that you said that, how you're raised.
Yes, that's social.
So when is a time, or is there a time like people just can't change? For example, people that are in power, and they can't change. That's how they're raised. Like,
yeah. I guess where for me, where I look at things like that, I look at things like the KKK and all the work that I've done in reading about them and how they would take their children at a very early age and have their children teach their children to hate that population for whatever reason they use. I've looked at some of the situations where some of their children didn't buy into what they were saying because maybe those kids were in school with some of the other ones, and how you force that on them. Um, man, I don't know how do you teach hate? How do you teach? Even though I know it's there now, I don't hate other people. I don't hate other races. But I'm going to defend myself. But I'm going to give you that opportunity first to see whether or not you're willing to shake hands. One of the things that I like, um, there's a piece that I have in my book, A Better World. And what it says is that when two computers meet, a computer knows it can't look at another computer and understand what that computer is capable of. And so the only way that that computer can tell what this other computer is capable of, you don't look at the hardware, that you have to get inside of how they think and what kind of operating system are they using. And what a computer would do, a computer will extend a handshake and say, "Hey, how are you?" And the other computer says, "Oh, I'm fine." And they'll do, and it will keep trying to do the handshake until it gets a connection. Now, within that, there's no one throwing anything at each other, hurting each other, but they're looking for the handshake because for them, the handshake says, once we do the handshake, then I can begin to explore what your operating system is and what kind of software are you using. And then all that other technological stuff that you young people know about. Um, and to me, that just makes all kind of sense. And computers were designed from people, so somewhere in the beginning, someone knew what that whole thing was about. Um, and as a person, I, I don't want to waste my intellectual capital, my energy on hatred because I have too many other things that I would like to keep in my head, keep in my brain, keep in my makeup. That if I hate, I will not allow those other things to come in. Now, I always want to be able to defend myself. I always want to be able to protect myself from a hater, but I don't want to become a hater.
So let's stick there.
Okay.
How do you defend yourself? In meaning, I do a handshake, but then it turns to enemy. Like you said, like you study person, you give them a chance after chance
Right.
to prove themselves. But what if there's a virus?
Well, if there's a virus, now again, we talk about that with a computer. With a computer has a virus, they'll do a virus scan and find out what kind of virus does this computer have. And then there's software that'll help that computer to separate that virus because it knows it's not the computer that's behaving that way. There's this attack from something that's foreign that's in there that's causing that computer to behave that way. And if they can get that stuff out of it, the computer can then be a tremendous value for you, tremendous value to you.
Who's doing the removal? Because like well, you raised the
Someone has to be of the consciousness and awareness to know that there's probably more things that we can get by us doing a handshake and complimenting each other. I'm learning about you, you learning about me. You have some things that I don't know and understand. I have some things that you don't know and you don't understand. And so therefore my thought would be that if I can be quiet long enough and learn about you, what happens? I grow as a person. I learn more. I become better as an individual. A computer becomes better as another computer if it can use that, and I don't know about the terminology for software, but if it can use their software and my software and bring those two pieces together, I just begin to grow and grow and grow, and I become more and more effective and become more efficient. Now, for people, somewhere in their makeup, somewhere in the psyche of the parent who hates, who wants to teach their child to hate, there's a major, major dysfunction. There's a major bias. There's a major breakdown, in my opinion. for that person to do that. So, because why would I want to just hate you for the heck of it? There's got to be something there that's causing that hatred to come up. Where did it come from? Did someone do something to you? But in many instances, we find, especially in situations of race, that the dominant group were the ones who were always the aggressor. You know, they just always have been the aggressor. And so, therefore, I guess in that case, power. And I think a lot of part of that would also be if I don't feel good about myself, then therefore I have to step on someone else to elevate my own consciousness to make me feel better. You know, that's why it's a struggle for me. That's why I think I do the work that I do. Because what I want to do when I go into a company or organization, I love it. Because within a company or organization, they're trying to achieve an objective. And so if I hire you and I hire you and I hire you, what we're saying is that I have the 3 or 4 or 10 or 20 of you people that I brought into this organization, that I've hired into this organization, and all of you have different skill sets, but we're all going after the same thing. We're all trying to achieve a goal. So therefore, in order for me to get the optimum out of everyone, I have to treat people with value, respect, and appreciation. I have to set some goals. I have to set some parameters that teach people how to dialogue and converse and share information and share ideas. That's always the winner. I don't know. We just had 4 people to go out into outer space. And not only did they get to the moon, but they went around the back of the moon, you know? And then came out on the other side. And those people of different ethnicities, different genders, different ages. And the reason why they were able to do that successfully is because they came together, and there's some other people out there who studied all this stuff and worked with all these things. And so they were able to have this, what we can almost say, flawless experience, man. And look at what it did. They came back, they landed, some people got them off. I mean, it was just absolutely great. So to me, good things like that happen not because of hatred. Good things like that happen because of respect, value, appreciation, sharing. I don't know of good things that happen because of hatred other than power. I have more power than you. The Crips and the Bloods and all the other groups, you know, there's all about power. But if they came together, they would, if it was power, they could have even more power by working together than they could by banging back and forth against each other. There's something missing when the only thing that I can do is feel that I have to subjugate you and put you down. So that's, I don't know if that answers that.
Yeah. So you answered that. So now I'm thinking of war.
Okay.
Why is there always gonna be war
War.
and then relationships? But it all boils down to self. Feeling the need to get something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
When I look at, I look at again, I've looked at the Europeans, I looked at the Japanese, Chinese, African, then USA. I mean, and what I have found in all those places in the beginning, usually someone had a house, a boat, a tree, a stick, or what have you, and they were doing okay. But then they found out that down around the bend, somebody else had a house, a stick. Maybe this stick was a little bit different than theirs. And they just decided, I want your stick or I want your house. For no reason. I just wanted more. I wasn't, even though I couldn't use everything that I had, I just wanted not only mine, but I also wanted yours. And so then they go around and they start that fighting and that war. And then if that group has a name and the other group has a name, then I'll raise my son or daughter to hate that group because of, and they hate me because of. But there was no real need for it. It just look at Europeans coming to wasn't America to the New World. I mean, look at what happened there. There was no need for them to come in and have to take over everything, other than the fact that our way of living. I was watching a piece the other day where when the United States wanted to move west, they told people from Europe, come on over, and any land that you find out west, you can have 140 acres. Well, how are you going to give away something that belongs to somebody else that's being occupied by someone else? And so what that did, that caused this population of people who didn't know that that was the name of the game, that someone else owned that. So they hooked up their wagons and they went out there, and all of a sudden these other people came and they started fighting us. Now, why are they fighting us? They were the Native Americans who owned that land, and you're coming in just taking that. And one of the things that just blew my mind was they kept trying to take the Native Americans' land. And they got to a point where the Native Americans were able to support themselves and defend themselves. So someone came up with the great idea. Well, what are the Native Americans? How do they survive? Well, they use buffalo. What do they do with the buffalo? They use every part of the buffalo, from the top to the skins to the internal. They use. So the idea came up with, why don't we kill all the buffalo? And then they would have no way of surviving.
That's crazy.
And they literally killed. They literally killed. Now, I've heard two stories. When I was out at St. Louis at the Arch, one of the rangers out there said that the Europeans on the East Coast killed 60 million buffalo. Now, this documentary that I was looking at the other day, it said they killed like 30 to 40 million buffalo. But they didn't eat them, they just killed them, and they stacked the bones up, and they did it for one reason. And that one reason was that we wanted to take the land that the Native Americans had, and we wanted to drive them out of that land so these other new people who are coming in could get their land. I mean, so it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
No, that's like, I really have to dive deep into history, because the same thing happened to Haiti with the pig epidemic. They killed all the fresh pig, and it's going for the same land. It's like,
Who did this?
the United States. I have to get more information about it.
Okay.
But it's documented, the pig epidemic, like Haiti biggest loss.
Uh-huh.
So there's a so-called pig epidemic,
Yeah.
and they had to kill all the pigs because it was give some disease.
Mhm.
And when they did that, they import their own pigs.
They brought their own in.
Yeah.
So they could be. So it's usually about greed.
That's crazy.
It's usually about greed. I'm not happy enough with mine. I want mine and I want yours. And I'm not in a particular point where I want to share with you. And if there's land, Native Americans did not put a fence up for land. They get to a certain point. If it was by the water, they got the trees, they had the food, the blood. And then when that particular area did not nourish them, they just moved on to another area. Well, European move was, when I get to a certain area, I put a fence around it because it's all mine and no one can come on to. So just different ways of survival, different ways of living. But there's someone who wants all of the goodies. They want all the trees, all the land, all the whatever, all the pigs, all the buffalo. So, and I don't know as much about Africa because I don't see as much history. But I would imagine that in Africa, the same identical thing happened. I can't say that it's like there is one population that is better than the other population. I just find when people couldn't find folks who are different than them to fight, they just fought each other. And so everybody did it.
That's the other thing. Like, they keep wanting. Like, what is their vision? What are they seeing? For example, the housing. The thing I thought about when you talk about housing, it's a structure, right? American housing, right? Not
Right.
apartments, not condos. Like,
Right.
it's like, what are they seeing they want to rule and conquer?
You mean in terms of now who's with the housing? You mean in general?
I just want like people's vision. the hatred.
Well, you know,
So it's like,
right now, I think we see something happening with housing is that, you know, I can rent a one bedroom house for $600, and now somebody else got it for $800, and then somebody else got it for 1,000, and now somebody else got it for 1,600. So again, I want money, more greed, and the more money that I get. So,
just because, yeah, it's like, it's something I just don't get. Because, like, all you need is your breath of life,
mm.
water, food, and shelter.
Right.
But,
Well, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And what we could do as a people, I think the Scandinavian countries seem to be doing it better than most countries because in the Scandinavian countries, some of the ones that I've looked at, there seems to be a balance there.
okay,
And they allow people to get the education is free up to, I think, even first year of college or through college, and which then means that people have the skills that they need to continue to work, continue to make money, continue to buy homes, continue to take care of their children. And so you see that the crime there is really, really, really low, you know, and you don't see as much of the fighting going on, those kinds of things. So they seem to have some. Now, is that because they look alike or they're of one ethnicity? But that's not even the case because we find places where people are of the same ethnicity and they still fight each other. So what is it? Is it a mindset? I don't know, but that's the closest thing that I can look at to see some of the Scandinavian countries where there tends to be order, structure, respect, value, sharing, and everyone can have enough to be able to sustain themselves. Now, I'm sure in those areas, there are some people with more money
okay,
than others, but it appears that in those areas, in some of those areas, people have enough to meet. And I'm going to use Maslow again for the sake of other anything else. They they've been able to achieve the food, clothing, shelter, safety, security, caring, love, self-esteem.
right,
So if I can get to that self-esteem piece where I'm okay with me, then I don't have to go out and do things to you to take something from you to make me feel okay.
okay. So I understand how Maslow hierarchy. So am I really, huh. So my, basically I'm trying to say is, I understand how Maslow, I'm
Mhm.
good, but what if the conditions that prevent me from, for example, just like within amongst people, hate group separations for whatever reason,
Mhm.
and I see myself, I guess that's something I'll have Cameron to ask, but self-inflicted issues that prevent me from excelling. Like I'm good with
Well,
hierarchy,
okay,
but there's still
okay.
some outside things that prevent me from,
From excelling.
yes,
Now, if the outside things that are preventing you from excelling would be education and skills and what have you, then my thought would be that if someone could show you how you can get those skills, that knowledge, then you would probably be okay. But if you see everybody else getting the skills and knowledge and education, but people are denying you the opportunity to get the skills and the education, then you'd probably use a deviant means of being able to get the same kind of things that the other people are getting.
okay,
I mean, today, look at, we have young people. I think you even mentioned this last time where kids are going out just snatching stuff.
yeah,
Well, I don't know. I really don't really have any real knowledge on. I don't know if the kids that are doing that, the young people that are doing that, if they already have the kind of things that they're snatching and grabbing, or are they doing it just because it's a fad?
exactly,
Now, I don't
yeah,
have that kind of information or that kind of data. I would think that if I'm snatching and grabbing something, it's because maybe I don't have it or don't have as many as you would have. I don't know. And I really can't speak on that with any level of intellect. I haven't studied anything on that. I've seen it on TV, but I don't know what it is. Um, but I do know that in communities where people are able to at least get to the area of self-esteem, that you're going to see fewer incidents, fewer problems, because I'm okay with me. And I don't have to take from you to be able to feel a need that I have. I mean, that's the struggle. You know, I mean, it's interesting. And what we need to really get inside of something like this, we need to do maybe some more research or get a group of young people around. I would love to get some of those young people who are doing those things and sit down and talk to them. I said, why are you doing this? Some would say, hey, it's just something to do. I had nothing else to do. Then if that was the case, and I would talk to them, well, what else? Are you in school? Do you have a trade? Do you have a talent? Do you have a skill that you're trying to develop? If you're able to be able to do those things that allow you to satisfy your needs, then I don't think you're going to go out and do, snatch and grab. But that's me thinking. That's me at the top of my head, kicking that around.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's enough from me, but I want to go into the resilience, the triad that you have.
Okay, yeah. As I said, so in this whole thing of waking up every day, wondering what's next, the thing that has been bothering me is that we now have a political administration that's taking away all of the tools that we've been able to utilize to gain equity. And by that, I have to go back to me, in the military when I couldn't get a home. Not because I didn't have the skill set, not because I didn't have the knowledge, but I couldn't get a home only because of my race. Someone said, because you look the way you do, we're not going to rent a space to you. Now that happened across the board, that happened across the nation, people are being lynched, all those. Well, we made some significant progress since then. That was in 1960. So we've done a lot of things as a society to be able to get ourselves to a point of equity, to begin to get rid of some of the discriminatory practices, to get rid of racism, at least covert racism, to allow people to, if they had the education, first of all, to get the education, to go to college, to compete on an equitable level. We've made a lot of strides in doing that. And a part of that was DE and I kind of stuff that we have. And then not only did it help people who happen to be of people of color, but it helped LGBTQIA plus people. It also helped people who were physically challenged, people who are mentally challenged. These things, and contrary to popular belief, it helped white males too, who are the ones who think they're in the power. It allowed them, some of the white males who weren't able to come in and participate, to all be a part of this, land of milk and honey kind of thing, right? So since this has been happening, and it's been really happening in the last year or so, I'm saying, well, what do we do? So I woke up, and what hit me was, as I have to start at home. So I have to start with us, my own people of color. And so what I came up with was this resilience triad. How can we, or what should we do right now as people of color to be able to maintain the equity and the balance that we currently have? Keep the doors open so that we can continue to make the gains that we have, to buy homes, to buy cars, to take care of our children, to get medical supplies and all those things. And the thing that came up to me was three things, and I looked at it from an individual perspective, from a family perspective, and also from a community perspective. From the individual's perspective, what we have to do, and I'm not saying that white people shouldn't do this. I'm not leaving Hispanics out. I'm not leaving Asians out. I'm not leaving anyone out. But what I'm saying, since they are removing programs that have allowed us to be able to gain some equity, then what we need to be able to do from an individual, I need to understand my skills and my skill level. What are those skills that I need? I need to increase my awareness around what's going on, what's happening, what kind of jobs, how do I get those jobs? How do I put myself in better positions? I need to be able to discipline myself to be able to focus in on those things that I need to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I need to build on those pieces. And then I need to include my emotional intelligence or my emotional strengths, because then as an individual, I can compete with anyone. I don't have to worry if you're saying that we're not going to use D, E, and I, because I can compete with you on any level as if we weren't doing that anyway. But right now, I can compete. So if that's what the name of the game is, if I need to get a higher test score, if I need to be able to do more in terms of housing or the trades or what have you, I am very, very capable of doing those things. So that was one of the base pieces that we used in that triad. And so we start to do, so we, you, all of us, we need to say, what can I do to make myself the best me that I can possibly be, and to be able to compete with anyone today in this environment that we currently live in for jobs and also services. So that's the baseline.
So
Then
what I heard,
go ahead.
what I heard was update your vision resume.
Yes,
Update your resume. Period.
right, right. And not only update it, but why are you updating it? How are you, where are you going to focus that resume on? What skill set, what job, what thing are you going to do? What is it that you have your expertise in, and what do you want to build your expertise in? Reading, writing, arithmetic, math, plumbing, carpentry, whatever it is, whatever you've looked at, because remember, you're increasing your awareness. What are those jobs that are going to give you the kind of money that you want to live the quality of life that you want for you and also for your family? So that's the first piece we have to do. And that starts early. That started, and I went back, and as a result of this, I've been talking some more to my great grandkids, who are ranging now. The ones I have some that are like 2.5, and we're not talking about them. They're ranging from, but I take it back. We are, because you know what we're doing with them. We're giving them the numbers and the shapes and the sizes and the stuff that they need to do to be able to compete and to understand at that level. But the ones I'm really focusing on now are the ones that are ranging between ages 10 and 14. And so I'm looking at them, and I'm constantly saying, how are things going in school? What are you doing? What kind of games are you playing? You're always dealing with Roblox. So what does this Roblox stuff do? Is it just something that you're messing around with, or is there anything around in that allows you to become more effective? Like I told them, I said, one of the things we had in Roblox, you could build a city, or you can build a community, or you can build an amusement park. So that causes thinking, that causes money that you have to spend. That means you have to hire people. So while they're having fun, they're also learning. So that's the piece that I'm looking at that we have to do right away. Right.
So to stay relevant, some real issues I've seen with AI.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, but I'm just going to rephrase it.
Go ahead.
There was an employee that asked his boss about a situation, and he told him to use AI. So like even the bosses are not well educated, so it's like you actually do have to know things for yourself, because everybody's relying on AI, but yeah, that's mishappened that.
Oh, so the boss said they should use
No,
AI.
an employee asked their boss
Oh,
for help with something, but they refer him to ask ChatGPT AI.
okay.
So it's like, wow.
Well, the reason being is, ChatGPT and all those other AI pieces, they have some good information. But here's how I explain AI to people, because I have some people who have different views of AI. If I said AI, my grandmother made one heck of a pound cake. That pound cake was on point. Everybody in the community loved that pound cake. As a matter of fact, on Sunday, people would be asking her to make pound cakes. She had pound cakes sitting all over the place because people were coming in and they was throwing down. No one ever said that's too much money. They all get the. Now, here's what AI can do. AI can give you all the ingredients for the pound cake.
Yeah.
But here's what AI can do. AI can't tell you how my grandmother used those ingredients to get that taste, to get that texture, to get that flavor. So AI is here as a support tool, but it's only a tool. So it's not a begin all and end all. So you may need some direction in terms of maybe an outline. So AI can give you the outline, but you have to be the one who works that outline. You have to have the knowledge to be able to get that outline and be able to do something with it so that it's going to be able to help you to be able to fulfill whatever need it is you're looking at. So I think AI is there. AI is good. And I think at this level of individual awareness, skills, AI can help you do a lot of things, but it's not going to do it for you. So even with AI, I say use it, but also have the skill set that you need to be able to take it to the level that you need to be able to accomplish the task that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I love that you said that because yeah, that's a jet. It's like it's a tool. It helps you,
It's a tool.
but you're the expertise. Like
There you
don't
go.
the value in us, like yourself. You got to present that.
Absolutely, because I'll have AI to help me out designing some training. So I'll get the design of it. But AI can't deliver that training.
Yeah.
AI will not know how to respond to people when they push back and ask me these questions and ask me that question. So AI will give me the basics, but then I got to jump in there. I have to go and make it happen. And how do I do that? I do that by getting to know people, getting to understand people, being able to communicate with people. Those are the kind of things that I need to have. Understanding emotional intelligence, how people react, understanding what my hot buttons are, what are those things that you push that button and it causes me to go off in all crazy different kind of directions. So that's the first part. Now, so I'm saying that as folks, and this is not new data. This is not new data. But I'm saying that if we are going to make sure that we're not going to allow this political system to slow us down and get in our way, that's the baseline that we have to be, because that says we're competitive. I don't care who it is. I don't care what color they are. I don't care where they're from. We are competitive. Bring it on. I heard Dr. Joy Reid talking about some made some comments about how she got into college, and she said I got into college because she said on that what ACT. She said I was 90. She said I scored 96%. She said that means I was better than 96% of everybody in the world that took that exam, regardless to what their color was. And she said, and I was carrying a 4.2 grade point average. So it says that I can compete with anyone, and we can make sure that those things, that the door is open so we can come in and compete. So that's the baseline. The second piece that I think we have to do in this piece that I came up with is family. How do we stabilize our family and build on it? Many of the challenges, if we go back to the snatch and grab, I can tell you this: none of my grandchildren, none of my great grandchildren are involved in any snatch and grab. Now, I know that for a fact. I know that. We take that. I know that's not happening. So my responsibility in my family is to make sure that those kids are doing the kind of things that they need to do to be healthy. And I'm also looking at what's going on in school. If they're having some problems in school, I'm going to go, not just their parents go, I'm going to also go and start to look at it. So I want to stabilize my family, and I want to make sure that I'm constantly doing things whenever they see me as Papa, blah, blah. I'm giving them more, asking more questions, giving them some, get a different book, get some things that are going on, asking them about different kinds of events that they're having and what they're doing in school. The other thing in terms of family, we need to start to think about owning a house. We go through this life. Some people stay in this world for 30, 40, 50, 60 years and don't own their house. Now, I know that because maybe financially they can't do that. And so if you don't own it, you should be a lease it. in a position where you're stabilized enough so that you know your rent, equity, your utilities, all that. So you're not being pulled by that every other day. I can't pay this, it's getting shut off, and what have you. So if I don't own it, I should at least be stable within my home itself. I should understand financial literacy. And I would think that maybe some of the reasons why people may not own their home, they don't know anything about finances. They have no idea about financial literacy. They have no idea about how do I save money? How do I do the banking? How do I increase? How does my interest rate increases in my overall savings? How much should I save? How much do I need to have in order for me to be able to begin to buy a house? Then, what are our family values? We, just like a company has values, people in the family should know what your family values are. Your children should know what the family values are. If your children knew what the family values are, they're not going to be out there doing the snatch and grab because they know if my parents find out a bit about this, they're going to snatch and grab me so hard, I'm going to turn them into a knot. And there's no need for them to go out and do those kind of things because there's a consequence to that kind of attitude and that kind of behavior. So we have the values piece and then we have guidance. And then on top of that, communication. How do we talk? How do we communicate within our own family? How do we communicate with people in the neighborhood? How do we communicate with the kids in school? How do we communicate with each other, boys and girls in the house, hollering, using foul language, using this, that, and the other? If someone has a toy and they've had it longer than you, blah, blah, then we take turns. Though, so there's some stabilization in the family, because family is critical. Family is absolutely critical. Look at those people who have made progress in life. In many instances, they had a stable family. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who didn't have stable families who didn't go out and do some really good things. But usually, if they go out and do some good things, they had a family that they stabilized. Because maybe what was missing in their family, they now say, I want to have that particular piece in my own family. So, individual, go ahead.
Um, family. So I know my family values, but when you try to merge two new ones,
Okay.
how does that work?
Well, it just depends when you have two people coming from two different families.
Okay, let me put more context.
Okay.
We have same values, same upbringing, but individually we're different. For example, one does something we talked about earlier, kind of.
Right.
So one does something. Basically, I want you to say it again. What you told me.
Well,
earlier.
no. To me, what would happen
Yes, I understand self.
if I do something that's not in alignment with my family, my parents would say, well, "What are you doing? Why'd you do that?" You know, that's not what we do. That's not what happens in this family. Now, what did you say? You did that? You're going to go down and you're going to apologize to that child. You're going to apologize to that girl. Or you're not going to go and hang out with those children anymore. Because that's not what we do. That's not the way we deal with people. That's not the way we show respect for each other. Because that is not a part of where we are. My grandmother had us baptized at age 4. At least I was age 4. My sister may have been 5. But so not only did we have family values, but we had many of the values that we had from the church. And so then if my behavior was inappropriate or if my language was foul or nasty or what have you, or I made some nasty comments or I excluded someone from something, then my grandmother and my mom would say, hey, that's what we do. And my mother was a beautician. And she had her own beauty shop. So while mom was in the beauty shop, there were values within that beauty shop, the way you conducted yourself, what you said. I mean, it really was. And anybody that came in, because if people would come in that beauty shop and start using foul language, my mom would say, hey, baby, we don't do that in here. Because we have other people, we have young people in here, we have seniors in here. We're not going to have that kind of language in this. So those things are, and any time you come in contact with another person, there's going to be some adapting that has to take place. And hopefully the adapting takes place on the part of both people. And hopefully the adapting that would take place allows both of us to end up better than we were than we were prior to coming in contact with that other person.
Okay.
Because I don't think I need to be kicking it and hanging out with someone whose values are alien to my values, unless they're taking me to
Higher
another
level.
level of consciousness, taking me to a higher level. Now, if it's about cussing, drugs, alcohol, excessive, and all these things, then I would have to say, that ain't what I do. Or I got to have me a drink when I get home from work. Well, why do you have to have a drink when you get a Coca-Cola, get some water? But why you got to do some alcohol? Or these people just get on my last nerve. Well, then do something to settle your nerves down. But why do you have something that's going to disguise it? That's going to have a negative impact on you.
Right.
Now people do what I get. They need a little glass of wine and all. They do that kind, but not to the excess. This is a Jimism. This is where I am. This is how I think. This is what I believe. I don't believe I have to go home and take a joint in order for me to be okay at the end of the day. I can go home and sit down and think about what's going on, talk to the family, interact with them, turn on the TV, look at a game, talk. I don't need a joint to settle me down. I have enough consciousness and what we talked about earlier, self-discipline to be able to, if I'm upset, what I need to be asking myself is, why is my job always making me upset? What's going on in my job? Then I need to figure out, how do I resolve that problem? Or if it's just a challenging job, I say that this kind of job is challenging. Now, is it paying me enough money so that I want to stay in this challenging job? So then what I'm saying, the reason, my sister worked for General Motors. She was also a beautician. But she did General Motors because General Motors allowed her to make more money. And not only that, they get bonuses. So she said, I'll go through all that mess because I want that money, because that money is going to allow me to do more with my house. It allows me to do more with my grandkids. But she didn't have to come home and get high because of the job. So it's one of those, and I'd have to have something more concrete to take a deeper dive into that. But that would be the piece where we're looking at family and we're looking at communication, financial literacy. That's going to position me as an individual to be comfortable in whether I am buying it or whether I am renting my space. Okay, and then the last part is community. And so with the community, what we're looking at is that foundation and support from the community. Do I know my community well enough? Do I know the people that I need to come in contact with well enough, or how the community operates, so that I can get what I need from that community? And with community, we start off with church and faith. So it doesn't have to be church, it can be your faith. It can be Buddha, it can be Buddhist, whatever your faith might be, whatever it is that you believe in. The other thing is involvement. Am I involved with city council? Am I comfortable writing a letter to the mayor? Do I go to the mayor's meetings? Do I go to city council meetings? Do I go to school board meetings to find out what's happening, what's going on? Are there civic associations that I can be a part of, things that I can? So I understand the community that I live in, and I know what I need to be able to do in order to get things done in that community and why things are being done in that particular community. Question?
No. Um, no.
Go ahead.
I was saying, like, that's how I came to Columbus. Like, I mean, I know people directly, family in direct family, but I had a community, the family from the community I was in Chicago here,
Right.
To build, and from there, branch off my own.
And look at what you've done. You came here. There's some people saying, I can't buy a house. What'd you do? You bought a house.
Yeah.
And you got a nice house. And you've been working on your house. and you work to make it better and better and better. I mean, and you're doing those things. And there are a lot of people who work with the state and say, no, the state don't pay you enough money. No, not if you don't sit down and plan it and look at what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it, and start off in an area where you're comfortable financially, which really gets back to another piece of that. That's that economic empowerment. We need to understand how dollars and cents work in this city, in this town, in this community, so I can utilize it in my best interest. And if I find, I know myself, I can remember being in the military. There were times when we didn't have enough, or we had enough money, but we weren't comfortable with it. So I got me a second job. I worked with the military, did my 8 to 5 or whichever shift I was on. And then on those other off shifts, I would go. I can remember building a school on the base, man. I'm carrying concrete. I remember digging a ditch around the darn mountain down a damn hill. The guy was paying me $2 and 60 cents an hour, But I did that, not just to blow the money. I did that with a plan in mind to achieve a particular goal. After being there 4 years, I can remember leaving. We left Mountain Home, Idaho. I went there when I was 18, 19, 21. I left there in a brand new ride. Well, it was brand off. As a matter of fact, the white dude who owned the dealership, did not want to sell that car to me because he didn't want me to have it. Back then, racial stuff. But so he said, and I said, well, what's the sticker price? I said, what's the deal? He says, no deal. It's just the plain sticker. I said, okay, I'll buy it. I bought it based upon the sticker price, man, because I wanted it. But I wanted it, and I was able to do that because we saved our money. We put money into what? And I started off initially with a 4CV Renault Dauphine. That was a car that it used more water than it used more gas, man. But it had to start that level to get to where we wanted to be. And we were young kids. We were like I said, from ages 18 to 21. I mean, this is what we were doing at that particular time. So my whole thought around that economic empowerment, understanding how dollars can allow you to achieve things that you just could not get under other circumstances. Even for me, not being able to rent a home, the only way that I was able to, at age 18, to get my family to Idaho, I had to buy a trailer. I had to buy at 18. Then they wouldn't let me park my trailer in the trailer park. So I had to go and find someone who would let me put my trailer in their trailer park. So at 18, my very first home that I've ever had, I purchased it. And so since that time, I've only purchased my homes. Now, the commander said, well, James, why don't you just go home once a year to visit your family? I said, no, I want my family with me now. I want my wife, I want my children with me right now. So you had to, how did I do that? I don't even know how I did that. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you right now what I did to make that happen.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. But I do think, for me, it's like who you're around. For me, I'm still in real estate groups. I'm not interested. I am interested, but like I'm always educating, like learning what's going on now.
Right.
People, you do have to read, but it's always about what's going on right now.
Yeah, but you do have to read, because remember, if we go back to that the part where we're talking about the individual, you have to have the skill, you have to have the awareness, you have to have discipline, and the only way you're gonna get those things, you got to read through something. Yeah. And today, reading, back in my day, you had to pick up a book and go through all the words. Today, you don't have to do that. Most people, you got a phone, and anything that you want today, you can find on the phone, and the phone will read it to you.
Yeah.
There's no excuses today not to have the knowledge that you need to be able to get the kind of things that you want, or to be able to get to a point where you have enough knowledge and insight as to how things work and what you do there. So those are the three things that hit me. So the first one was the individual. And as an individual, what I needed to do, I need to be able to really stabilize myself. What do I need to know about myself, about this town, about as an individual? Do I have the skill set to compete? It's just like if I'm gonna go and say, I'm gonna play basketball, I'm gonna be a pro. Well, what are you doing to become a pro? You may play a sandlot game, right? But if you want to play on the pro team, or if you want to play on the college team, or if you want to play on the high school team, or if you play on the junior high team, what do you have to do? You have to develop your skill set to be able to participate in that area. So whatever it is from an individual, I need to say, if I want to be able to be effective, I want to be able to make money, I need to find out what kind of money are people making in this job, that job, that job, that job, what kind of skill set. And that's all available to you also. That data and that information is out there. And then once I do all those pieces in terms of getting those together, then what I start to look at is family. Start to develop my own family, or I just stay as an individual, and not have a family, and and I can go ahead and do what I need to do from there. But I'm going to interact with my family, with my mother, my father, my sister, my cousin, and then even if you don't have family in terms of parents, you have usually a group of friends that kind of function as your family, where you're kind of working together and you're getting along with them. And then from that point on, then community. So my take is, for us, new stuff. But for us, in the position that we're in, with the government that's currently in place, if we don't want to get left behind again, if we don't want to get left behind again, and we didn't get left behind, they just never gave us an opportunity to catch up. But we got to do these three things. I need to deal with Jim White and get myself together. If I'm a family, I need to deal with my family, and I need to develop them in terms of where they are, what they're doing. Then I need to understand the community. So a strategy, and here's where I am. I want to say never again. Never again will we go back to where we were before, even though we were discriminated against. I mean, it was illegal, but they did it anyway. Never again. And the way we can make sure that we never go back there again, I'm going to be the best Jim White that I can possibly be. Here's what I know about us as people. Black people are talented, skilled, drive. How can we have stood 250 years of slavery and still come out and be where we are today if we didn't have the knowledge, skills, intellect, and talent and drive? We would not have been able to do that. So if we were able to do that under those kind of pressures, shoot, this is nothing, man. Bring it on. Bring it on. I can compete with anyone that's out there. And the one that I can't compete with, I'm going to find out what he or she is doing, and I'm going to see if I can step my game up. And maybe they might be better. So I'm saying, okay, but whoever that person is right under you, I'm going to get them. If I don't get you, I'm going to get the person right under you. That's what and if we did that, if we do those things, and we do those three things and focus on those areas and say it to in ourselves, never again, man, there's no way that we are going to ever get left behind. We run America. Look at all the stuff that we've done. Look at all the space program would not take place, man, would not have been if it wasn't for Black folks. Look at the Black women who worked and created the loops and all that other kind of stuff that they had to be able to get. Man, we are here. We've been here. We've always been here, and we will always be here. That's where I am. And what I want to do, I want to have a strategy. So if someone says, so what should we do? This is our strategy.
So let's talk about it.
Okay.
We had a strategy, Brownsville, Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
Like, what's gonna make us never again go to that bombing situation?
Well, what we never again,
The highways, like it's always something.
and there's always someone out there. What we need to be, one of the pieces I mentioned, awareness. We need to be aware of the fact who are those people that would want to take advantage of us, and how can we and what can we do to defend ourselves. See, it used to be we didn't have guns. It used to be that our guys and ladies were in the military, but we didn't know how to use weapons. I'm a qualified expert. Don't knock on my damn door. I go to gun shows. I am not going to allow anyone to come up and intimidate me. So you come rolling into my neighborhood with some garbage. Believe me, are you willing to die to suppress me? If you are, bring it on, man. People have to know that I'm not going to allow that to, and you're not, don't hurt my children. I can guarantee you hurt my kids. It's on. It is absolutely on. And I don't want to have to go to that level. But you're saying, what do we do to stop those kind of things from happening? Those are the things we have to do. The other thing we need to do right now, in my opinion, we need to get more African American men and women in law enforcement.
Really?
Heck yeah.
That was my. That I didn't pass the PE part. I was close to doing it, but yeah, I stopped.
It's a great job, man. It's great money. And we need to infiltrate. There are a lot of young people, African American, Hispanic Americans, the Haitian Americans, you know, who would do well. When I was training, we had African Americans and Hispanics in law enforcement, and they did great jobs. They competed with everyone. They were capable. And the only way that we can really begin to be able to influence outcomes is for us to be there. Because when I'm in law enforcement, when I was in law enforcement with in the military, there was black guys, white guys, Hispanic guys. We all got along together. They got to know me, I got to know them, and that minimized some of the crazy stuff, you know? So the same thing would happen here. If we get in there, they would get to know us. We would know each other. You hold them accountable. They hold you accountable. That's one of the things that we should do. We should have a focus right now from an individual perspective and employment. If someone says they need people down in law enforcement, we should identify X number of men and women going down, taking the test for law enforcement. They should be going there, as opposed to going to McDonald's. You know?
Yeah.
That's how we infiltrate. If we stay out of it, we allow people to continue to go into that arena and then kind of galvanize or come together to be able to plan strategies against us. But if we're there, that's not going to happen. Or if it is, we'd shut it down immediately. We also need to know that one of the reasons why I think fewer and fewer African Americans have been killed by law enforcement is because they have been sued. Once they know that there's a consequence to inappropriate behavior in the court system, will put their butts in jail, then they stop doing it. And that's what's happening, which then means what? We need people in law. We need attorneys. We need judges. We need to infiltrate everything. Everything that's out here in the United States of America, we need to be a part of it. And we are capable. But we can't sit back and complain and not do anything. I mean, this is my thought. It's my thing that says a strategy. This is this, and it's a healthy strategy. I can share this strategy with anyone in the city. I can share it with the governor, with the mayor, and there's nothing negative about this strategy. This is a healthy strategy. Know why I know it works? Because that's what they have been doing. That's what they do. That's how they've been able to get. So if that's what they have been doing to get in the position that they're in, why would we be doing anything less? Never again. And it's not like we can say, well, our black people have such great jobs that they don't need that kind of employment. That's a lie. You know, we need jobs like everybody else, and we need jobs at good salaries like everyone else does. And if that's where the jobs are, then that's where we go. We need to have some young boys and girls who are in like cadets, police cadets, where they're learning at a very, very early age that law enforcement any place in the world is needed. We need it. We have to have it. And one of the best things in the world for us to do is have people in law enforcement who look like us. And we need to have LGBTQIA plus law enforcement officers. We need female law enforcement officers. We need everyone in there. And we need a wide array of ages. So we got to participate. So push back on me. Tell me, and I know, and this is like it's so simple, but it is simple because this is a society, and that's how societies work. That's how societies operate.
So you say give you pushback.
Yeah.
I got you.
What you got?
I can't remember exactly, but it's the hierarchy.
Okay.
But you said you already,
Talk to me.
you already
Tell me about that.
but I was gonna say basically if you use your hands, that ain't make me feel negative. I already contradicted myself, but basically the hierarchy is you use your hands, you get paid less, but if you use your mind, you get paid more.
Right.
So like
Right.
you want to be in a position that you think and make things happen. You don't
Absolutely.
be a worker. So that's my pushback.
Okay, well,
Like football
okay.
team, like
well, let's look at that.
football
Let's
players
look at that. Let's look at that the hierarchy. So therefore, probably the people that are underpaid more than any other population would be the African American community. And why is that? That's because if we go back to that first piece that I talked about, which is the individual is not pulling together the skills that they need. They are not the awareness, the discipline, the emotional intelligence and emotional strength. So if I don't want to just do things by hand, and I want to take it to the next level, then I need to go ahead and get that book in school, wherever it is, to be able to compete. I mean, unless someone says that black students aren't as smart as white students. Do you believe that? Of course not. We know that that's not true. Not Hispanics, Haitians. I mean, there's intellectual capital everywhere. And most of us are only, according to the data, using 10% of our intellectual capability. So that means that all of us could do so much better. I have a very good friend, Dr. Elson Craig. He was a doctor down at the Ohio State University. And when he went in, he was an ophthalmologist, and they gave him the recruitment for doctors coming from a college into OSU, because they're out of a class of like 300-400, they would maybe have 4 or 5 African Americans. So he went out and he went to the different colleges and what have you, and started pulling in more African American students. And what he found, though, that the African American students were coming in, and they were not competing on the same level that many of the white students were coming in. So he started looking at what they were doing. And he said, well, these are the top 5 books that the white students are looking at. They said, do you have these top 5 books at your school? They said, yeah. But then he talked to the white students, they said, yeah, but we went through those books 2 or 3 times, and we were looking at some other readings and found out that some of the African Americans were not going through those books at that same depth, at that same level. Not because they didn't have the capability to do it, but it's just the way their curriculum was set up. So he did remedial training. for doctors. So they came in, they did remedial training. When they did remedial training, bam, their grades went up, the same as everyone else, and they were able to be just as effective. They were able to go to Ohio State University. They graduated. So when people are subjected to similar kinds of data, similar kinds of information, they tend to perform well. If you take an African American student, a white student, Hispanic student, Haitian student, and give them coming from the same similar socioeconomic background with parents with similar kinds of skill, they tend to perform the same. So it's access, it's exposure.
Right.
And the only reason why we're behind is for years they denied us. They didn't want to. If they thought that we were not as intelligent, why would they have to say, don't let them read books? If you think that I am less educated or that I don't have the intellectual capital that the same as the white student, you wouldn't have to tell me not to read books. You could give me the books because I don't have the intellectual capital. But what we know as a result of that, they knew that we were smart. Not only that, when they got slaves, they didn't just get any slave. They want the slaves that had certain kind of a skill set. We need some slaves that could do the rice. We could need some slaves that could do the cotton. We could need we are more than capable, man. Everybody out here is capable. We just need access. So if I want to make more money, then I need to find out what jobs are making that money. And in some jobs, even like Honda, you use your hands, but you can make a whole bunch of money. But even out at Honda, some people are using their hands, but some people are also using their intellectual capital that are making more money as a result of that. We have the skill, we have the skill set, we have the knowledge, we have the intellect. We just need to take a deep dive in it and be conscious of it and use this as a strategy. If every single family would do this, say, where are we from an individual perspective? Where are we from a family perspective? Where are we from a community perspective? And we're focusing in on that, man, we would do just fine. We would be able to compete with anyone else that's out there. Look at all the places that they've denied it. Do you remember where there was a point in time when they said that blacks couldn't play basketball?
No.
Man, I would watch basketball games. There might be one black. They said, well, they just can't do it. They just don't know how.
Wow.
They banned dunking.
Mm.
Why would you ban dunking? Because the brothers were slam dunking and the white boys couldn't do it. Now, here's what I'm noticing, which I love. I'm now starting to see white boys dunk like brothers are dunking. So again, when you come together, you learn from each other. It's a big old crazy game out here. So what's the other one? Any other ones? I know I'm wearing you out, man.
No, it's just just seeing the progress. Like we're going backwards. Elections basically. So elections coming up.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, how do you do research on who?
Well, we already have the numbers. My take is, why would an African American male vote for Donald Trump? And not that I don't like Donald Trump one way or the other, right? But what has Donald Trump done for African American males? Ever. What has Donald Trump done for any minorities? Ever. Now, he may have one or two here and there, but when you look at his record, even in New York City, he didn't do that much for minorities. Minorities did work for him. He didn't even pay him the money that they would do. And he would sue them and blah, 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 blah. So my thing is, why would a brother do that? Now, if a brother can tell me why he's doing it, if a brother said, well, I like it because the cat is making some money and I looked at the stock that he's using and I'm using, what's that, Bitcoins and all that. Hey, well, if that's what you're doing and you see him doing that and you're benefiting as a result of what he's doing, hey, I'm not mad at you. But that's not the majority of the brothers who are voting for Donald Trump. What I've heard from the data that people have been saying, they said, he don't take no shit. Now, that's a reason for you to vote for someone. So my take is, if you're going to vote, No, not if you're going to vote. When you vote, make sure you read who you're voting for and you know why you're voting for that person and why you're voting for a particular party. I don't say you should be for the Democrats or the Republicans. You need to be for that group that's going to do those things that are in the best interest for you as an individual, you as a family, you as a community. And if they're not addressing those things for you from an individual, family, community perspective, you vote for someone who is going to do that and hold them accountable. To me, this is fair. This is equitable. It makes sense, but it makes us take some ownership. I can't sit back and complain and not do a damn thing about it. We can always, man, they didn't do this right, they ain't doing it. But what are you doing? Well, I don't know, ain't nothing I can do. Yes, there is. And we have a lot of young African Americans who did not vote in the last election. Had they voted, situations would have been different.
Oh, yeah.
All right, brother. Got any
Yeah.
more?
We can close out with this. But you said it, but I'm just gonna say it.
Go ahead, say it again.
What do black men want? I said that because, as in, I was talking about myself. Like,
What do black men
what?
want?
Yeah, like we always ask, what do we want? We always talk about other
He said,
people,
what do you want?
self. Like,
You know,
what do you want?
I can remember being at Capital University when we were that was the first time they had 50 blacks at Capital University. And we would go as a group of us, maybe 4 or 5, 6, maybe 8, in front of all white students. And know what they asked us? What do you people want? You know what our thing was? Same damn thing you want. We want the same thing you want. We want the same quality of food. We want the same quality of shelter. We want the same quality of clothing. We want to be able to make sure that our children can get what they need in terms of education. We want opportunities to participate. So I think black men want, I believe myself that as African American males, we have been at the bottom of the shit list since our beginning. They have talked about us. When you look at TV, when you look at commercials, we're usually not there. We're not, little boys aren't present. Every now and then you'll see the black male, but nowhere near to the same level that white men are. So we want to be there with everything: jobs, education, visibility, respect, and not just basketball players. We aren't the only we aren't sports isn't the only thing that we're capable of doing. Sports is one thing that we excel in, like anything that they open the door and allow us to participate in, we excel at it. Anything that we've been able to have access to, we excel in those areas. So what black men want are the same identical things that other men want across the board. I don't see there being anything different. And I think back, and believe me, that was in was it 1972? They were asking us, well, what do you people want? And these were young white kids, college age, and they were probably repeating to us the same things that their parents had been probably telling them. Or they just don't want this, they don't want that. And so what we told them in really respectful ways, that we want the same identical thing that you want. We want access. Why would Capital University in the 70s, for the first time, have 50 African American students on campus? What happened to all the other years since they were opened in the late 1800s? Why now? So that to me would be it. And that then goes back to what I said. We need to look at ourselves and understand ourselves from an individual perspective. We need to also be able to make sure that we know what's happening with our families, and we need to know what's going on in the community. And for me, with black men, we need to stand the hell up. We need to stand up, get out of blame ourselves, and do these three things that I'm talking about. We have brothers who have babies all over the darn place and they're not taking care. Only thing that they can do is make a baby. Well, if you make a baby, then make sure that you can take care of that child.
Exactly.
And I don't mean just get them a popsicle every now and then. I'm talking about that you can take care of them on a monthly basis. And if you can't do that, then leave the girls alone. Just leave them the heck alone, because that's one of our major issues, man. We created it. Now, why do we do that? I think that there's something called epigenetics, that on the plantation, the only thing that the black man was really good for when he left the field was making babies. I got 3 babies over Mr. Bill's property. I got some more. I got some babies down Mr. Jones. They would hire us out to make babies. But why did they do that? Because they wanted the babies to be strong, right?
Yeah.
And so they hired us out to create. But we're past that stage. We need to get past that. We need to leave that. Stop being baby making factories.
So,
Contributors, I guess the women are the ones who are making the babies.
are we past? Are we actually past white people manipulating us?
No. No, we're not past white people believing that. We're not even past us believing it. Because if we were past us believing it, we would stop doing it. Our black men just don't know what else to do. And I think one of the reasons why we see African American males maybe pushing dope and drugs is because they haven't had opportunities to get employment elsewhere. And why haven't they had opportunities to get employment elsewhere? Because when they were young, they're in school, they weren't getting the education right. So if I don't get the education, if I can't read, oh, I can't read really well, oh, I'm dyslexic, or my family can't do math, that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm dyslexic. I've been dyslexic all my life, and it has done nothing, slowed me down, hasn't stopped me from doing anything. If you want to learn how to do math, you study math, and you study basketball, you study rapping. I see him walking by my house. Yo, bada doom, bada boom, 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 boom. Well, if you could study and do all the rap, then damn it, if you studied your math as much as you studied rapping, you'd be able to do math. You do the same thing with reading. See, we're right now our own probably worst enemy. If we did everything that we are capable of doing, there would be no one who could touch us. No one who could touch us. And what I will also close on, and that is, I'm doing a piece right now, and that is, our black women have been carrying us from the Middle Passage through the plantation, through civil rights, up to current day. The black woman has carried us and had to carry the weight on her shoulders. And it's time for us to do our part so that she can take a breath. That doesn't mean leave, but that she can take a breather and have a partner in the house. When you have 72%, I think that's the number now, 72% of our babies are being born in single parent families. Now, I know that there's a lot that happened, and I know a lot of welfare and all that other kind of junk that goes on. But still, that says that we have babies born in our homes without a daddy. 72%? And let's say if something, oh, it's not 72%. What if it's 52%? I don't give a damn what it is. It's too many.
Yeah.
It's too many. And they need to be there. They need to be going to PTA meetings. They need to be there when those kids come home from school. You know, if the dad is working and the mom needs to do it, if the mom is working, the dad needs to do it. If one works in the morning shift, the other one works the other shift. We could do it, man. We could change the plight of African Americans, people of color in America ourselves if we stepped up and did all that we need to do to support our own families and take care of our family. We need to do that. No more excuses now. No more excuses. Jobs are hard to get. Absolutely, they're hard to get. But so what? So then the two people working is going to be better than just one working. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then you're younger than I am. You see more. I don't know. Is that your thought? Do you agree with me? Do you think that makes sense? Is there something that I'm missing?
You're not missing. It's just, will people ever wake up?
That's why, to me, we need a strategy.
Yeah.
And I think, if nothing else, as a senior, having gone through the stuff that I've gone through, I think I have an obligation, I have a responsibility to you, younger folks. And that is, I need to give you the best that I can to say this is an approach that we can take to move ourselves to a more stable position. And my thing is, it's not tricky, it's not unattainable, it doesn't cost any money, but understand yourself, be the best individual that you could. I need to be the best Jim that I can possibly be. I need to make sure that I take care of my family, meaning I'm not going to make any babies that I don't take care of and can't support and be a part of. And then I need to know the community that I am functioning in and that I am operating in. And if I do the best in all those areas, there's no doubt in my mind, man, that we would put ourselves in such a much better position. We would pull ourselves out of the slump that we're in, even with racism. And racism is not dead, and it's not going to die. But guess the reason why we have less of it today than we had before is because what? We stood the hell up. And we need to stand up right again, right now, and not again, never again, never again. And that's what we should say. That should be our mantra, never again. And why? Because I'm going to take care of mine. I'm going to do my piece. And you do your, have a brother or sister or, a cousin or uncle who's not doing their piece. I'm going to tell them, you ain't doing your piece, man. Step your game up. Take care of your kids. I tell that to my children and my grandchildren, and they tell that to theirs. That's where it is. And like I say, and the perfect example that I can use is the snatch and grab again. I know that my grandchildren are not involved in any damn snatch and grab. Period. I know that. Why? Because I'm there, because I'm present, and I'll make sure that that's not happening.
Yeah. So I asked a historian, Rita, I don't remember the full name, but she said, I asked her what was the best period in history. She said there was never no perfect period in history.
Yeah.
But the thing that helped us get through was music and dance.
Music and dance. I would say music has always been, and dance has always been a piece, probably uh, uh, during slavery. It helped us to kind of keep ourselves in balance and not, instead of smoking a joint, we did the music and dance, and I think it helped stabilize us. I think there's some people who have been able to make some moves as a result of it. If I would say the best part of our best times in history, in my opinion, probably the best times in history would be now. Because now we have more information, more data, more knowledge, more opportunities than we've ever had before. And so right now is the best time. And I think the current administration, so just before that current administration popped in, we were probably at our height. What this current administration is doing, I think the reason why they're doing what they're doing is because they saw that we were making progress. And because we were making progress, they said, dang, We need to slow these people down. Let's pull back. Let's take down diversity. Let's reintroduce racism and all those things. And I think they did that because we were making progress, man. And so we were there. We have the schools, we have the jobs that are available. And not that we've been given everything, but the better opportunities now than ever before. College that we've been in, um, running companies, CEOs, vice presidents, again, Black women at some very, very key places in many of the companies and in many of the organizations, in HR departments, so those things. Blacks, I can remember we were a part of the first group of African American males, African American females, and white females to start working at Xerox as salespeople
Yes.
because they said that they didn't think that we could compete with the white males. And when that door opened up, and that was in like the 80s, that we went in, we sold as well, if not better, than the white guys. And the white guys weren't saying that, but just the companies believed that. But Black men came and was selling their hearts out. And same thing with the women, and same thing with white females. So we showed that it had nothing to do with your gender or your race. It had something to do with your skill set. And something else that Xerox did that I really appreciate. Xerox told clients, if let's say I'm a Black sales rep and I'm working for a company, and if Xerox, if that company would say, well, we don't want a Black person here, Xerox said to them, hey, I tell you what, we're giving you our best. And if you don't want our best, then you get your copiers from someone else. And they would just go away from that company and go somewhere else. And so the companies stepped up and said, no, we still want Xerox products. And so those were the reps that we had. So we making some progress,
Okay.
some significant progress.
Random,
State, federal government, all of them.
random question, but similar. Robert Kiyosaki, do you know about him?
Kiyosaki was at the money.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy.
Huh?
Yeah, he worked at Xerox. That's why I was like,
He worked at Xerox.
yeah, I'm like, did you meet him?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I never did. But I have all his books at the house. I got him, and I think one of the guys that has really done a dynamic job is Tony Robbins.
yes,
I've been watching Tony Robbins since day one. I remember when Tony Robbins was a high school dropout.
yes,
Now Tony Robbins is a billionaire. He has 600 different companies.
yeah.
And I've seen Black folks, grab that. That's what I mean, the information and the data and the materials. Now, is there total equity? Heck no. No, it's not there. Is it racist? Absolutely. But if you're saying, where are we now? We're at a point in time now. If we do the right things right now, we can position ourselves better now than we ever probably, that I can think of.
Okay.
In terms of jobs, employment. We were at great places. We were doing great in the military until what Donald Trump did what? He canceled, didn't allow people to get their promotions. He pulled Blacks and women and LGBTQ out of those key places. So his administration saw that we were doing such dynamic things, and he intentionally shut that down. And then when you go and look at the Tesla guy, what he did, firing people, and most of a large percentage of the people that he fired were people in government, and the government was one place that we were always able to at least get jobs in. There were some towns in Maryland that they almost devastated an entire city because that was a high level of African Americans who worked in that particular area in the government. Wiped them out.
That's crazy because yeah, the podcast before you released this, he mentioned how Chocolate City became because the white people didn't want to work; they saw it was beneath them, and that's why all the Black people got in government. in
It
Chuck
got to
City.
government jobs, yeah. And then once we got government, we got people in the government, there was equity there. It was based upon, you passed the test, you got the job, man. So, and people say, well, they played favoritism. Well, hell, white people been playing favoritism since the beginning, since 1619. There's nothing new, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that probably uh, prior to Trump taking office, we were in probably our best possible position. And the reason why he did what he's doing is because he saw that we were making progress, that we were moving forward, and they wanted to stop that. And so the only way that we counter that, we don't need to go talk to him. We need to step our game up. Because if we step our game up, then we will be able to do the things that we need to do
Yeah.
to stabilize.
Yeah, that's what always been my mission. Been working in black communities, like being black
And
communities.
you're doing that. I mean, look at what you're doing right now. The work that you're doing, man, is helping us tremendously. And look at yourself, the kind of job that you had, the stability that you have with your job. You're a young man. You bought your home, you get your car, you get your bike. I mean, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it outstanding. And if we can have other brothers step up and do what you're doing, and some sisters, I see women working. Let me say, I see women being positioned, so much better than brothers. And I'm not saying that's not because the brothers don't care, but I do know that the system tends to feel more comfortable with African American females in key positions than African American males. And
Yeah.
that's just my observations in the data that I've looked
So yeah, it's like, yeah, there's so much work to be done. It's like,
at. Oh, yeah.
because I feel like you see something I don't see, but it's like it's just so many pieces that are not connecting that I wish they would connect and they're not.
Well, see, and my take is we need a strategy. And that's why when I woke up this morning and with this information, I said, what strategy? What strategy? What is it? What is it that we as Black can say, this is what I'm doing, and this to me is a strategy. And it's not anything that we can't do, man. It's real simple. It's resilience, and it's not us asking for somebody else to do it for us. The things that I mentioned today are things that we can do for ourselves.
Yep.
Develop to be the best possible me that I can be, do the best that I can for my family and for my children, and understand the community that I'm in, starting with the church that I go to, or the synagogue that I go to, or the temple that I go to, or whatever it is. If we become the best that we can be, man, we would be able to make leaps and bounds, and we would deal with all the stuff that he's talking about. Because as I said, look at the talented Black folks that we have. If you look at the talented Black folks that we see on TV, just think there's probably 1,000 like that out there for everyone that's there. They just haven't had the opportunity.
So you're originally born in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
So it's like we have yourself, your family, community here in Columbus. Like, would you go back to Pittsburgh? Like, is that
Would I
how
go
people
back to
travel
Pittsburgh?
down south? Like, what?
No, not that Pittsburgh was bad. It was just that my dad was born in Pittsburgh. My dad came from what they call the slums, and my mom, my grandfather, he was in the military. My grandmother worked for the Hodnitz, which was a white family. The dad was a VP, and I remember their names because that's what she did that day's work. And then my mom became a beautician, and so Pittsburgh. But we had a lot of family there, so Pittsburgh was a. I have no complaints about Pittsburgh, even though at the time it was segregated from the standpoint of you had the Negro community, the Italian community. Slovenian community, the Slovenian community, the Jewish community, um, probably Hungarians, what have you. But that was not that was normal because what ended up happening when people came over from Europe, they went to a community where some of their relatives were. When we came up from the South, we went to areas where family members were. So it was a good town. Um, Employment, people were able to get jobs. Well, I can't say, I don't know as a youngster. I know that all my family members worked. I know that for a fact. And then when my dad died, that's when we moved to Sharon, Pennsylvania. So my mom, my grandmother, my sister, and myself moved to Sharon, Pennsylvania, which was our hometown. That's where my great grandfather lived. And my great grandfather was released from slavery along with his mother and his sister when he was 6 years old. And so that was somewhere in Virginia. And somehow they settled, I don't know how they settled in Sharon, Pennsylvania. And we had the family home there. So we lived in the family home. And then my mom opened her beauty shop in town and she bought a house. And from there, we did that. And then I went to the military. So I like Pittsburgh. I have nothing negative to say about Pittsburgh. That's just how it evolved. I don't remember there ever being any racism from the standpoint of the time I went to kindergarten, in first grade, integrated. And that was back in the 40s. So I was born in 42. So that was like 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. We were in integrated schools. Then I went to Catholic school. That was integrated. I think the projects, I mean, the public schools were less integrated than Catholic schools were. And then when we moved from there, I went to Sharon, Pennsylvania, and Sharon was an integrated community that we lived in. So we've always lived in integrated, we always went to integrated schools and lived in integrated communities when we moved to Sharon, Pennsylvania. In Pittsburgh, Jewish people ran the grocery stores and things like that. They usually were the people that handled the property. We had Italians that handled the cigar stores and things like that, and the numbers. Um, but that was the white kids with projects. We had Terrace 1, Terrace 2, Terrace 3. And I think most of the white kids lived in Terrace 1, the blacks lived in Terrace 2, and then was mixed in the other ones. But it wasn't like you couldn't go when we went to swimming pools. Black and white kids were in the swimming pools. So, so that's I didn't have myself. I didn't have that major discrimination kind of stuff racism that was in my face. My parents would go downtown to go to the department stores, and my mom and my sister would try on clothes and what have you. Whereas I know some of my counterparts in some of the places that they lived, if you were black, you couldn't try on clothes. You had to pick the size, and once you touched it, you kept it. So things like that.
So the reason I ask is because there's racism and stuff like that, but there's also amongst us like there's issues.
Black, light skin, dark skin.
Yeah, so
Yes.
moved down south. There was people moved back and forth down south. But I haven't been to California, but that's also people moved to California.
Right.
But I'm saying in the sense of you leave your hometown, you don't go back because you may get killed or stuff like things.
Yeah, we never had that. I think you saw most. That was probably more down south
Okay.
in the deeper parts of the South. A lot of people had to leave because of maybe, they challenged the white racist system that was there. But that wasn't my experience. I don't know any of that.
Okay.
I know what's happening,
Okay.
but it wasn't my experience. Like I work with Arco Cambon, and Arco said they fought every single day. He lived in Georgia, Alabama. He said every day coming back and forth from school, they fought with the white boys every day. And when white people were walking down the street, they had to step off the sidewalk to let them pass. We didn't have any of that. So like I personally feel in this racist society that we live in, I just feel that I've been blessed not to have it just thrown directly in my face. Not that I haven't had it. My first encounter was in Idaho.
Okay.
That's where mine really hit me in Mountain Home, Idaho, where I was, intentionally discriminated, trying to get housing for my family.
So my question for you then, as a mediator, things of that nature, what was your biggest challenge that you had to overcome? Meaning, like, what was the toughest story as a mediator but you won? I don't know, some dispute or something like that. What was that one tough time?
I would say probably one of the more challenging ones, kind of in your face. I was doing a training for Betty Montgomery on diversity, and I was introducing people. Oh, two. I had two. So, um, um, and they were some attorneys in the classroom, and we got around. There were about 30 people in the class. I got around to about the 33rd person, and the guy said to me, "If I introduce myself, you might think I want to participate."
Mm.
And my thing was like, "Don't introduce yourself. Let's go to the next person." And we got finished, and then he went and pushed his chair up against the wall and put his feet on the desk and reached over and pulled out a newspaper from his briefcase. And of course, everybody looked at me like, "But you gonna let this guy do that?" So what I did, I called a quick timeout, and I said, "Hey, folks, let's take a quick timeout." And I said, "Sir, can I talk to you?" And he came outside, and I said, "Look, I don't know you. You don't know me. I don't know what's bothering you, but guess what you're not gonna do? You're not gonna sit in my classroom and disrespect everybody. You're not gonna disrespect your coworkers. You're not gonna disrespect yourself, and you're damn sure not gonna disrespect me. So if you don't want to be here, you can leave, but you're not gonna put your feet on the desk in my classroom while well, I don't want to participate." I said, "Don't participate. You mean I don't have to answer any questions?" He said, "No, you can sit there for 8 hours," because we're doing 8 hours here, "and you don't have to open your mouth. But you will not exhibit that kind of behavior in my classroom." And he tried to not participate all day, but we kind of drew him in. He got pulled in. So that was one. And the other one that I think was race based was Honda. We trained 16,000 people at Honda, and I was doing the midnight shift in the East Liberty location with the guys who fixed engine blocks, and they had to lift like 150 pounds, that kind of stuff. And they were all white guys. And so they came in that night, 12 o'clock to midnight shift. And I'm up in front of the classroom. And then I had to tell them, this 6'4" black dude, tell them we're going to be doing diversity. We already know diversity, all that kind of grunts and moans. And I said, but before we get started, because a lot of guys came in, they were spitting tobacco in their Coke cans and all that kind. I said, there's one thing that I want to get straight before we get started. Don't y'all mix your Coke cans with my Coke cans, because we'll be fighting all damn. So they start laughing. And then after I broke the ice, then I said, well, what's your issue with diversity? And they started hollering. I said, okay, well, let me write these things. So I started writing down all the things on the flip chart, all the issues that they have with it. I said, okay, now, who do you want this to go to?
Mm.
They said, we want it to go to the president. I said, okay. I said, now, who should we get in touch with? Who will give me their phone number? So we can get back with you with the answer from the president. No hands went up. I said, okay, so here's what I'll do. I said, I hear you guys. And all the stuff that you have up here, I'm not going to be doing. I said, first of all, I don't do white male bashing because if you look around the room, all y'all white and y'all bigger than me. I ain't stupid, right? I said, in all the things we have up here, I don't do those kind of things. So, but this is a policy training that your organization said that it's a must do. And so we're going to go through these things. And I said, but any questions that you have, blah, 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 don't hesitate to throw the questions out, challenging for me. And then that was it. So those are probably in all the trainings that I've done, man. Those are probably the worst ones, most challenging ones that I've
Don't
had.
mix up coke with mine. Oh
Yeah.
man.
One young guy in one of the classes out there said he was talking about something that he did on the job, and he said, "Well, when we do, he was a farmer because he had a lot of farmers." He said, "Well, when we're doing this," he said, "if the equipment breaks down," he said, "what we'll do," he said, "we'll nigger rig it until we get back to the farm and fix it." And I let him finish his story. And of course, when he said that word, everybody looked at me like, "Did you hear what he just said?" And so my thing was not to jump because no, it's not no reason for me to jump on him. So when he finished his story, I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "That term you use," I said, "Can you tell me what you meant by that term?" "Oh, you mean niggerid?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, that means like if we're out on the field and something breaks, we will fix it with whatever we have, some wire or what have you, until we get it back to the barn or the stable. Then we'll get the right parts and pieces and fix it." I said, "Well, where'd you get that word from?" He said, "Well, the NASCAR industry uses that term all the time when they're talking about fixing their cars when they break down." And that's a point in time when NASCAR industry had a lot of Confederate flags, and they were using that kind of language. And I said, "Well, I need to share something with you that word is totally inappropriate." And I said, "It could get you into a lot of trouble, a lot of difficulty. So what I want to say, don't use that word again, especially when you're in the classes and not here at Honda, because that's why we're here to try to deal with that." And he apologized. And then we went on and did what we had to do. Because my thing wasn't, if I would have jumped on him, it wouldn't have helped at all. So I let him finish what he was saying, but then I corrected him.
Like, run that back.
Right, run it down. And then I let him, I told him that and we won't use that here, and don't you use it at Honda, because if you do, there would be disciplinary actions. And he took it and won. Because to me, if I would have jumped on him, man, it could have been crazy. And then he would have been angry, and some other people had said, and other people would maybe hesitant to ask questions. My thing, I'm always open for people to ask any kind of question. I said, as long as you're being respectful, we'll deal with it. So those are my tough ones.
So you gotta get a good one then. Like, that was tough. Like, what's some good stories? Like, what's the?
Oh, good. I mean, the good stories. My one of my greatest stories that we had not too long ago was a white guy came up to us, and we were doing a training, a diversity training, unveiling racism. And he stood there with me and Melanie, and tears started rolling down his face. He said, "Man, what's up?" He said, "I have taken 3 or 4 of these kinds of classes in college and what have you." He said, "And every time that we've ever had them, I was always made to feel bad, like I had done something wrong." He said, "But this is the first time that I've gone through this kind of a class, and I feel that I was just one of the other students and that you were just sharing information and data. And I want to thank both of you for the way that you conducted the class." He said, "So I said, I really, really appreciate it." And the class is called Unveiling Racism. And I mean, we go through everything. So that was a good one. And in most of my classes, afterwards, we had people coming up and saying they really enjoyed it. You know, they want to deal. I did have one sister one time. We were doing the class. She would start crying, and we stopped the class. Said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I'm sick and tired of me having to sit in these classes with white people, telling them what they have done, what they shouldn't have done, when I know damn well that they've heard it in college and they heard." So we had to really kind of take a break there and help her because it was overwhelming for her. Because she said, these people know what to do. They know why we're here. They know the issues that are out there. So that was a good piece
Okay.
for her. And she had a master's degree.
Mm.
No, and a lot of students in there had anywhere probably bachelor's to master's degrees.
Okay.
And so those are probably the ones that resonate the most with them.
So how do people get in contact for your consulting? So that was a testimony right there. Like,
Right, yeah. Performance Consulting Services. Our email is jwhite, WHITE, the number 2, at columbus.rr.com. jwhite2 at columbus.rr.com, Performance Consulting Services. And we teach a wide array of courses. I mean, diversity is just one or two of the courses of the 15, 16, or probably close to 20 different training programs that we deal with. And we're always open to share information, to share data. And we also do a lot of coaching. And so we just enjoy what it is that we're doing. We have a good time at it. My daughter is about ready to leave, but I'm still kind of hanging in with it because I like the work that we're doing. So if you want to do nothing but just call and have a conversation, I'm always open to that. I love talking about the topics, all of them, communication, team building, all those programs.
so people may not know, but first interacting with you. So how did you go from Exxon to your own business to public speaking, like to TED Talks, like that 3-piece from Exxon to
From
your business, and
Xerox?
then
Xerox, well, I was with 3 major corporations. I was Xerox for 10 years. I was with, and I left them because they were not selling it. And so I joined Wang, but then Wang, I was only with them 3 years because Dr. Wang and the founder and owner decided to retire. And when he retired, within a year, his company collapsed.
Mm.
And then I was recruited by a company by the name of DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation, to sell large mainframe computers. And then after being with them for about 7 years, I was in sales initially at The Ohio State University for 3 years. And then after achieving the $3.8 million budget 3 years in a row, I then went and got into training. And then they got bought out by Compaq. So I figured 2 downsizings controlled by someone else in my life was enough. So all the development books said if you don't like the way your life is going, what you should do is change it. So I said, well, I took an early out because they were giving people who'd been around longer to get an early out. So
Early out.
1990 something, 92.
Early out meaning
Early out meaning that you could take a buyout because they were only going to be around, like, when companies get ready to close, they'll offer buyouts first.
okay.
For the first people to, and what they do, they pay you X number of dollars
Okay.
and you leave the company. But then I think within 2 years, they closed down altogether. So I took that money and I used that to start my own company, Performance Consulting Services, and it's been 33 years.
Okay. And that made you a speaker? Like, is that initial? That's how
Well, I
you
guess the
started?
speaker piece probably came as a result as being a sales rep. They were always teaching us different skills
Okay.
to talk to people, to do presentations. We had to do demonstrations on all the products. So some of our demonstrations that we did would take maybe 25 minutes.
Okay.
And so you just practice how to do those demonstrations. Whenever we would go to a customer, you start off by introducing yourself to the customer and who you are and what you're about and what you're doing. And then throughout working with them, you may have to go and speak to 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, 20 people about who you are and what you do. So we kind of picked up the skills there. But then when I went to Leesburg, Virginia with Xerox, I was a trainer. And so I got training at Xerox to be a trainer. And so that was about 2.5, 3 years. So at that point in time, I taught people how to do communications, team building, conflict resolution, social styles. I taught them how to do all those things. I taught the sales reps those kinds of skills because those are the kind of things that they encountered when they were going to be in front of customers. So we had to teach them how to do that kind of stuff. And that's probably where I started and just a part of it. And I teach effective presentations. And I've been teaching effective presentations for probably at least 40 years.
Okay.
And so on that, in teaching that we just did 30 police officers last week
Okay.
on effective presentations. And so that's kind of where you pick it up.
So it's rare for a family to have a family business. Like, how did that come about?
I started it myself, and my daughter was working for the Attorney General first. Then she worked for the zoo. And then she worked for the same school that her children were going to. It's a Catholic school. And then when the boys went to public school, then she came in to start working for me full time.
Okay.
So she's been with me now 25 years.
Okay.
She's going to leave because her husband is retired. So she's going to be retired. So then I'll just be out here doing it myself, having fun. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do, how I want to do this. Nowhere near to the degree that I'm doing now, but probably leaning more into coaching.
Okay.
And maybe 1 or 2 courses that I really, really, really like. So maybe once a week, something like that.
Okay.
But to stop, I don't know what I would do if I stopped.
You're not stopping. You gonna do
and do
podcasting.
it.
You with me. You want to do
Well, yeah,
podcasting.
now you're right.
Keep it going.
Now the podcasting for me is really the name of the game, which is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I just think that this is a tremendous opportunity. And I thank you for doing that because that's the latest and the greatest thing that's going on out here today, podcasting. So as we pull this together, man, this will probably be it.
Yeah. Awesome. Any final words that I missed? Because like self, family, community. So yeah.
That's it. Because do it yourself. Understand you, what you're doing. Be the best you.
Yeah.
Be the best family, father, dad, whatever. And then know your community. Just know that community, how things work, how things operate. And if we just think if we as Black people focus on that, man,
Yeah.
and we become the best that we can be in those 3 areas, come on, man.
So all right, not really pushback, but like, okay, I don't have kids yet, but I know the family structure story. But people are forcing it, pushing it, shoving it. I know I'm not ready, but they say I'm ready. It's like,
Well, you're ready when you're ready. People can't tell you to do to become a family man until you're ready to become a family man. And I wouldn't let anyone push go, I want to have babies. Well, you go out and have some babies. Tell mom you're going to do that. But you do that when you're ready to do it. And there's something for you to think about. And if that whole thing comes along where you're saying, I really do want to have some children, then you start to look at how do I find the right mate that we can come together and do that in a way that's going to be first beneficial to both of you and then beneficial to the children.
Yeah.
But no one can push you into doing that, man. That's your thing.
Oh,
And if you get into it too fast and not ready, I think you would probably regret it.
yeah. All right. So give us a relationship tip. You can't leave without. Yeah,
A
give us a
relationship.
give us a relationship tip.
I think the best relationship that I can give anyone is you really have to know yourself, your highs, your lows, your hot buttons. Because unless you know you, how could you possibly be able to merge with someone else to do anything that's going to be positive and constructive? And then what you know that what you then owe that person is to be able to introduce yourself to them and be real and authentic in the relationship that the two of you are in. And I would hope that that other person would know themselves, because then the two of you come together. But if you don't know yourself, then it's gonna be a struggle.
Yeah.
But that to me is really the gift. So do what you can, read and learn enough about yourself, how you feel about you and other people and relationships and all those things, so that you can sit down and really just have a good dialogue. To me, the best person that you could possibly be with is one that you can sit down and you enjoy just dialoguing with them, just talking with them and exchanging ideas and viewpoints about yourselves now and about the world, where you want to be, and what your goals are and aspirations, because that's going to come in really, really soon. What are your goals for yourself and for your life, and what are the goals for her and her life, and how would those things blend? And it's gonna merge and it's gonna change, because anytime you mix two things together, it's always gonna be shifts and changes.
Oh, shaky, shaky, shaky.
Yeah. And and there's going to be some shaky areas. There's going to be some shaky areas. But if you have a good base, you can always talk through them. You can dialogue through them. But if you don't have a good base and you can't talk to each other, then that's going to be messy.
Cool, man. That's all I got.
Good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
you.
I appreciate you
All right.
always.
Gems with gems.
Huh?
What's it? Gems with gems?
Oh yes, GEMs. Jim, GEM from JIM.
Yeah.
Gems from Jim.
All right. See you.